So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Sergey is based out of Sydney. He needed synchronization as a project manager between JIRA and MS Project. He wrote his own plugin to do this, and this eventually developed into its own product. When he's not working, he enjoys persuading his family to join him in bushwalking adventures near Sydney, and his 6-month-old daughter is the easiest to convince of that. So with that, Sergey, I'm going to go ahead and give you the controls here.
Well, thanks. Hi, everybody. My name is Sergey. Okay. My name is Sergey, and today I'm going to talk about Ceptah Bridge. And our company is located in Sydney. So Microsoft Project is a kind of standard de facto tool for a project management, because when you need to create a project plan, it offers a rich set of features for scheduling your activities, and it's a really powerful tool, but it has one limitation. It's a desktop application, and it can't be used in concurrent mode by multiple users. And talking about JIRA, it's a very popular tool for developers because it boosts collaboration. But if you are a project manager and you need to create a project plan, it's a bit hard to schedule the activities because JIRA doesn't have scheduling functionality unless you install some third-party plugins. So that's where the Ceptah Bridge comes into play, because it can make these two systems work together. So today I'm going to talk about Ceptah Bridge. So I'm going to tell you what the Ceptah Bridge is and the workflow it uses when it synchronizes the data between JIRA and Microsoft Project, and about the synchronization mappings it uses during synchronization. Then we'll take a look at some common operations that could be automated using Ceptah Bridge. And these operations are publishing tasks, which means creating issues in JIRA based on Microsoft Project tasks. Then receiving progress updates, which is receiving updates from your resources from JIRA into Microsoft Project. Synchronizing changes between the systems, importing issues from JIRA into Microsoft Project, closing issues submitted by the resources for closing or reopening when they resolve the issues. And then I'll give a brief overview of the other features the bridge has, and then I'll be ready to answer your questions. So what is Ceptah Bridge? Technically, Ceptah Bridge is a Microsoft Project add-in that you install on a computer where your Microsoft Project is installed, and obviously it provides synchronization between Microsoft Project and JIRA, and it extends Microsoft Project menu with its own menu items, and you use these items to operate the bridge. So if we take a look at Microsoft Project, here we can see the JIRA menu item, which is created by the bridge, and there are all these menu items to control the bridge. So talking about the workflow, first of all, we've got the manager who uses Microsoft Project. And the manager is pretty comfortable with Microsoft Project because it has all these scheduling features I've told before. And there is the team, and the team uses JIRA for collaboration. And we use Ceptah Bridge to integrate these two systems. And the issues and assignments are flowing from Microsoft Project to JIRA, and potentially some changes can be copied from Microsoft project to JIRA as well. And some status updates and additional information flows from the team to the manager through the Ceptah Bridge. The bridge introduces the concept of synchronization mappings because we need to know which field in Microsoft project relates to which field in JIRA. So these mappings basically are a set of pairs of a task field and an issue field, and there is a direction in which the data should be copied. It can be either from Microsoft project to JIRA or from JIRA to Microsoft project. So here we can see the example where we have the name task field mapped to issue summary, and the direction is from Microsoft project to JIRA. So when we synchronize the data, by default, the data will be copied from the name field of a task to the summary field of an issue. And because we have these directions, so we define the direction for each particular field, we can synchronize the data in one go. We don't need to have two separate operations for copying data from Microsoft project to JIRA and from JIRA to Microsoft project. You do it just in one go. You synchronize your data, and after the operation is finished, you have all your data synchronized. So if we take a look at our bridge here, we have the project settings. So for each project, we define some settings, and mostly they're the mappings I've just told you about. So these mappings, they're split in some groups. So there are 5 groups of the mappings, and on the left-hand side, you can see the issue fields here, JIRA issue fields, and on the right-hand side, there are Microsoft project fields and some default settings and some switches between the Microsoft project fields. And in between, there are the buttons to change the direction of synchronization. So that's the direction. And for some of the fields, the direction can't be changed because it's the nature of this particular field that you can't do it the other way around. And one important mapping I would like to draw your attention to is the issue key mapping. So for each task, we define a field where we store the issue key of the issue associated with this particular task in Microsoft project. So in this case, it's text 10. So all our JIRA issue keys will be stored in this column. So talking about the direction, when we create issues, actually in JIRA, based on Microsoft project tasks, we ignore this direction because data always flows from Microsoft project to JIRA when we create issues. And when it comes to the synchronization, the direction is taken into account because it defines how we copy actually the data. And when we import, we also disregard the direction because all the data goes from JIRA to Microsoft project. So let's take a look at some basic operations we can automate with the bridge. Publishing tasks. Publishing tasks means creating issues in JIRA based on Microsoft project tasks. So, for instance, the manager creates a project plan in Microsoft project. Here, it is created, and then he or she publishes the plan in JIRA. And at this point, the bridge creates these issues in JIRA and associates the issues with the tasks in Microsoft project. And then the project manager can make some changes to the plan, and that can include some rescheduling of the tasks, and we can synchronize the data again to JIRA to update our resources with the changed assignments. So let's take a look at the bridge. Here I've got this project. It's not published yet, so this text 10 column is empty, and I'm going to publish it now. And obviously I have set up some mappings already. So I click synchronize, and the bridge shows me the list of the tasks. It is about to, the list of the issues it is about to create in JIRA. And for each of these issues, we can select the issue, and we can browse the values of the fields. It is going to update, to create the values of these fields. And if we don't want to create some of the issues, we can uncheck them, and they won't be created. So that's our list of the issues to be created. So I click this button and apply changes, and at this point the bridge creates the issues in JIRA, and you can see this field text 10. It has been populated with the issue keys of the new issues. I can click compare just to make sure that everything is synchronized, so there are no differences. So now our plan is in JIRA, and one of the mappings was that the hyperlink field in Microsoft Project needs to be populated with the issue, the reference to the issue in JIRA. So I can click this link now to open the issue, so we can see the issue that has been created. And obviously that's its issue key. Now, receiving progress updates. So our resources work on their assignments in JIRA, and they log their work against some issues in JIRA. And the manager receives the progress updates in Microsoft Project by synchronization. And these updates, they can result in rescheduling of some tasks because their duration can be changed due to some changes in estimates of the remaining time. And later we can update the issues in JIRA based on this rescheduling. For instance, I'm going to go to this issue again and log some work against it. For instance, 3 hours today. So I log work and synchronize. And obviously, for instance, if I am a project manager, I have received an email notification from JIRA, so I know that I need to synchronize this data, or I do it on some schedule from time to time. So the bridge wants to update the task usage for this task based on the work log in JIRA. So I apply the change, and what happened, because this task was scheduled for 2009, some date in 2009, and now I I log time today, which is almost 1 year later. So the task was rescheduled, and all the dependent tasks were rescheduled as well here. So if I compare the data now, what happened? All the dependent tasks were rescheduled. So the bridge wants to update the due date and the start date for these tasks. So now I apply changes, and our tasks in JIRA are rescheduled as well. All the dependent tasks are rescheduled as well. Another thing we can do is, for instance, if I want to change something in the plan, for instance, here I change the name of a particular task, and I want to increase the duration of the task. I click Synchronize, and now the bridge is ready to update the summary of the issue. That's the new name I gave it, and the due date and time estimate for this issue, because I increased the duration, and all the dependent tasks, they were rescheduled as well. So that's how we can reschedule tasks and update JIRA based on the information in the Microsoft project. So synchronization in general. For instance, the project manager changes something in Microsoft project, and the team works with JIRA and changes some issues as well. And at some point we want to synchronize the data. So the fields that are supposed to be copied from Microsoft project to JIRA, they will be copied from Microsoft project to JIRA. And the fields that are according to the mappings supposed to be copied from JIRA to Microsoft project will be copied from JIRA to Microsoft project. Obviously, if the values are different. And for some fields, if we are not happy with the updates, we can reverse the direction of the synchronization. So it's represented by these red arrows here. So we can change the direction of a particular field, of a particular issue. So let's take a look at the bridge. Here I have, if we take a look at the mappings, okay, I need to close this window to get to the mappings. So here I've got the components field mapped to the text7 field in Microsoft project, and that's the components, just the field is renamed. And affected versions and fixed versions, they're mapped to text8 and text9 respectively, and these are the fields. So now, and the direction is for the components from Microsoft project to JIRA, and for the versions, the direction is from JIRA to Microsoft project. So I'm going to change the component field in Microsoft project. So like that. And now I'm going to JIRA. Okay, and in JIRA I change the version for the first issue and for the second issue. Now I synchronize the data, and we can see that the bridge wants to update the components field in JIRA with the value from Microsoft project, and it wants to update the version in Microsoft project with the value from JIRA, and the same for the second issue task pair. So, for instance, I'm not happy with this particular thing. I don't want my components in JIRA to be replaced with the value from Microsoft project. I can click this checkbox, and it will reverse the direction of synchronization for this field. And for the second issue, we can do it the other way around for the version. So in this case, the version will be updated in JIRA with the value from Microsoft project. So we apply the changes, and the data has been updated. Import. If we have some tasks, some issues in JIRA, and we want to create a Microsoft project plan based on these issues in JIRA, we can use the import feature. Here I've got another project, just an empty one, with some pre-created settings. So the mappings are here already, and I'm going to import some issues from JIRA into this project. So I click import, and there are three ways to specify the issues to import. The first one is to select a project from JIRA. So in this case, all the issues from this project will be imported into the Microsoft project document. And the second option is to enter the issue keys in this text box. You can download them from somewhere and just copy and paste them in this text box as a comma separated list, or just space separated list. And you can select a JIRA filter. So I have two filters here in my JIRA. So I select this one, and that's how I'm going to import the data. And optionally, we can import subtasks with the issues. So I click prepare, and the bridge shows me the tasks it is going to create in Microsoft project. And here we can browse through the value fields as well, and select and unselect the items to create. So I apply the changes, and the project is created. And obviously it's not as smooth usually, because it's just an example, and usually it's a bit more painful process, but this feature can be helpful. Closing issues. When the resources work on their assignments, at some point they resolve the issues, and we need to the manager needs to close or reopen the issues after some review, and the bridge can help us to do that as well. So for instance, my first issue, I'm going to resolve it. So now I'm working as the assignee, and I want to resolve the issue. And I will populate this field as well, because there is something I won't want to show you later. So I'm filling in this custom field nodes, and I resolve my issue. And the manager now, having received the notification, the email notification from JIRA, goes to the close issues dialog box. So at this point, what happens is the bridge compares, actually checks all the issues associated with the tasks in this project and shows the list of all the resolved issues that are waiting for closing or reopening. So here I can go to this issue again and take a look at the issue and decide whether I am happy with the implementation of the issue, with the results. And then I can close or reopen the issue. For instance, I'm happy, I want to close it, and the bridge opens the close issue screen in JIRA. So here you can see the screen for closing the issue, and I close the issue, and I'm going back to Ceptah Bridge, and we can see that the status is closed now, so the issue has been closed. I can refresh it just to make sure that everything is resolved, and that's how we can close the issues using the bridge. And I would like to show you another thing, how we can add some niceties to our project to make it look fancier. I have this column, JIRA status, and I customized it to show some different icons for different issue statuses, JIRA statuses. So now I'm going to map this column to the status field in JIRA. So this column is text 12. It's renamed, but it's text 12. And also I have created a mapping between the nodes field in JIRA. It's a custom text field in JIRA, and the nodes field in Microsoft project. And I have actually entered some data when I closed the issue. I entered some data for this field. So when I resolved the issue. So sorry. So I enable the mapping and I synchronize the data. So the bridge wants to update the status for all the issues, because it's a new mapping we have just created, and also it wants to update this custom this nodes field based on the custom field in JIRA. So I apply the changes. And now we can see that we can use icons now to represent the statuses, and that's our node here. So we can make our life a bit easier using this synchronization and these little things. And the other features of the bridge worth mentioning are command line mode, which is a command line utility you can use to synchronize data between Microsoft project and JIRA. It exposes the same functionality that the UI version has, but it can be launched in a command line mode, and you can schedule it to run in the night or on some scheduled scenarios. And then we have mappings. For mappings, we can import and export the data, and there are two particular use cases for this feature. First of all, we can export the settings and use them in this command line utility. For instance, when we import data from JIRA and we don't have a project as such. So it is created. So we need to specify the settings somewhere, and we do it by importing and exporting the settings. So it's basically these two buttons. So we can export and import settings. And we need this feature to transfer our mappings from one Microsoft project to another Microsoft project. I mean, from one Microsoft project document to another Microsoft project document. And talking about the software requirements, the bridge works with all Microsoft project versions from 2000 to 2010, and it includes the 64-bit version. Any JIRA versions starting from 3.13. And talking about the support of Microsoft Project Server, the bridge can work with any projects stored on Microsoft Project Server. So there is no difference for the bridge between a local file on your disk and a project in Microsoft Project Server. But it doesn't support the enterprise fields. And now I'm ready to answer your questions.
Sounds great. Let me go ahead and take the control back, and we definitely did get a few questions in. So let me pull those up. And if you guys have questions, please do chat them in, and we'll go ahead and ask Sergey at this time. Let me just get the questions up here. Okay. Here's one. Can I use some custom field, parent, or linked issues as a key for import a project from JIRA?
Actually, the bridge doesn't support issue links as such, and the reason is that we use the JIRA application programming interface, and it doesn't provide this functionality. And we didn't go down the path of creating our own plugin for JIRA to get access to the whole functionality, because it can make it harder for the user to install the software. So basically, once the feature is available in JIRA Remote API, we will implement this feature. But at this point, we can't synchronize. When we synchronize, we can't use the issue links, and we don't support subtasks as well, only during import. So when you synchronize, the subtasks are not synchronized as such. I mean, the relationship. So the subtasks can be synchronized by themselves, but the bridge doesn't understand that there is a link between a task and the subtasks. So that's
okay. Sounds good. Here's one. If I have changed issue summary in JIRA, how can I reflect the renamed task in MS Project?
If we, for instance, let me show you. If we here for summary, right? It was the question about the summary.
Yeah,
right?
I
So
can change the issue summary in JIRA.
Yeah, so in this case, I reversed the direction. It was from Microsoft Project to JIRA, so I set it that way. And when we in this mode, you can't copy the data into this path. So there are different ways to represent the name of the task in issue. So by default, we are using this notation with these signs. We use a kind of path, and when the data is copied from JIRA to Microsoft Project, we can't use this one because it wouldn't make sense. So I set it to be copied directly into the name of the task from issue summary. So I click OK, and for instance, I'm going to this issue here, and I think it was wasn't a good one because it was closed, so I can't edit it. Okay, this one I change the name, and here we can see that it uses the path because that was the mapping. So I will rename it. Okay, let's click synchronize. So now it wants to update the old name in Microsoft project, the old name with the new name I have just entered, and for the rest of issues it wants to update the names as well because it used to be the path and now it's just just one name of the sorry, the other way around. It's now it's supposed to be just one name of the task, and in JIRA it's the list of all the parents, kind of path. So I apply the changes, and our task has been renamed here. This one we have just changed. So that's how we can do it.
Okay. I actually had the question screen up on my screen, so we didn't see the demo that you just gave. But if people want to see that,
so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. I mean, we can. You know, I'll give the attendees the your email contact after. So if they want to see it, they can get in touch with you. But I do have other questions for you to answer. Is it possible to synchronize the issues between Greenhopper sprints and MS Project?
It's a hosted version of JIRA, right? Or Greenhopper.
Excuse me, what was that question?
I'm not really familiar with this plugin or
Greenhopper.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I definitely would recommend trying that out because I think a lot of people that possibly would have MS Project might also have Greenhopper. So maybe we could get you a license of that and you could try it out. Greenhopper, yeah, it's a plugin for JIRA. It's a agile plugin for JIRA.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I can't answer the question at this point.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Here's one. How do you match parent tasks' original estimates for work? Because in JIRA, the parent task time is not the same as the sum of its child task as MS Project does.
When we synchronize the data, sorry. When we synchronize the time tracking, it has this option to include the subtasks in the estimate for the parent tasks. So it really depends on the scenario, on whether we have both the parent and the child task. I mean the task and subtask in JIRA mapped to an issue. Oh, sorry. I started to show the screens here. You can't see them. But anyway, there is an option to which is named include subtasks in time spent remaining estimate. So we can include the time of the subtasks, and depending on whether you have your issues in JIRA and issues and subtasks mapped to tasks in the Microsoft project or not, you can play around with this feature to ensure the behavior you want to achieve.
All right, sounds good. Here's one. Can the resources be mapped from MS Project to JIRA? And if so, how can the resources in MS Project be mapped to users of JIRA?
Resources can be mapped. So basically, to set the assignee field and to log time, because the time can be logged. Excuse me, can you switch the control back to me so I could show the because it's really hard to explain it that way, just in words. It's much easier to show.
Sure.
Okay, so here talking about the subtasks, that's the checkbox, and when we map resources, assigning to resources, there are three ways of doing it. You can use the resource name as such. So in this case, the name of the resource in Microsoft project should be the same as the name of the resource in JIRA. And then you can use the resource field. So any custom field of a resource, it is not the task field, it's a custom resource field. For instance, here I have this mapping enabled, and if I go to my resources, let me show you. So this column, text 10, it contains the JIRA names. So I have the JIRA names here, the JIRA user names here. And obviously, they're different from the names of the resources in Microsoft project. And here I use this field to map, and basically it is used to match the resources to JIRA users. Or I can use some field in Microsoft project. So in this case, I won't map the assignee to resources. I can map them to just to a field, to a task field of a particular task. And the setting is also used for time tracking. So if you select the field here, then the actual work is tracked on assignee by assignee basis. So when we create the entries in the daily work for a particular task, the task usage, it creates these entries on resource by resource basis. So that's how we can map the assignees to resources and use these mappings.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, and maybe if anybody has more detailed questions, I'm ready to answer them. So you'll have my email, because it really depends on your situation, and it's really hard to explain all that stuff just in one word, you know.
That's right. Yeah, and there are some more questions, but I think it would be best if we provided your email, and also I can forward these questions to you, and you can get back to them directly. So I think with that, we'll wrap up. So here is the contact information. People, you can reach me at webinars@atlassian.com, and you can reach Sergey at serg@ceptah.com. And this webinar was recorded, and it'll be posted on atlassian.com/TV. And there's the link there at the bottom. And in case you're interested, there's some upcoming webinars on the 26th of August, Voice of the Customer using Confluence as an Internet at Charles River Analytics. Beginning of September, there's a Lean Development with JIRA webinar. A few days later, there's another Voice of the Customer with Insight 4, and they have a really complex JIRA workflow that they want to share. And then the beginning of September, there's a Scarlet, which is clustering for JIRA, which should be really interesting to watch. You can learn about all of our webinars at atlassian.com/about/events. And I want to thank you, Sergey, for taking the time to present with us. And like I said, I do know there were more questions to be answered, but I'll get Sergey in touch with you guys. I have your email address and the specific questions. And likewise, if you guys have more questions, feel free to email him directly. So thank you, Sergey.
My pleasure.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.